In a time when colonial forces were tightening their grip on India, a hero arose from the southern lands, a beacon of resistance and bravery. This video is about that hero, Veerapandya Kattabomman. Kattabomman, a leader from the small region of Panchalamkurichi, emerged as a key figure in India's early resistance against the oppressive rule of the East India Company in the late 18th century. Stay with us as we delve deeper into his life, his defiance against unjust practices, his strategic alliances, the siege of his homeland, and his ultimate sacrifice for the cause of freedom. Join us on this journey, retracing the steps of this legendary figure and his enduring legacy in India's fight for freedom. Let's dive into the late 18th century, a time when India was under the tight grip of colonial rule. We meet Veerapandya Kattabomman, a brave leader who ascends to power in the small region of Panchalamkurichi. His rise to leadership was not a smooth journey, with the looming shadow of the East India Company spreading its influence across the land. The company's control expanded when it forged a pact with the Nawab in the year 1781. This pact offered them control over Carnatic's revenue, leading to the imposition of tax collectors who exercised their authority through fear and humiliation. Shocked by these unjust practices, Kattabomman stood firm against their oppressive tactics. His resistance was not a one-off act of defiance, but the rise of Kattabomman as a key figure in the early Indian resistance to British colonial rule. The stand taken by against the unjust practices of the East India Company marked the initiation of a legendary saga in India's fight for freedom. A formidable adversary enters the scene in 1798, the arrogant English officer, Collector Jackson. In this year, Kattabomman found himself with a significant land revenue arrear of 3,310 pagodas. Jackson, determined to collect, proposed using military force but was denied by the Madras government. Undeterred, Jackson arranged a meeting with Kattabomman on September 19th after several initial refusals. Kattabomman, embodying patience, waited 3 grueling hours before meeting the haughty Jackson. But the atmosphere was tense, and Kattabomman, sensing danger, made an attempt to escape with his trusted minister, Sivasubramanianar. However, the quick intervention of Umaithurai led to a bloody clash at the Ramanathapuram fort gate. The confrontation resulted in multiple casualties, including the death of Lieutenant Clark and the capture of Sivasubramanianar. This confrontation marked the beginning of Kattabomman's direct resistance against British colonial rule. Following his clash with Jackson, Kattabomman took his grievances to the Madras Council. He reported the mistreatment he had suffered at the hands of the arrogant collector. An investigative committee was set up, which after careful review, cleared Kattabomman of any wrongdoing. The council dismissed Jackson, replacing him with a new collector, S.R. Lushington. Kattabomman, now free of the burden of Jackson's tyranny, managed to reduce the revenue arrears to a mere 1,080 pagodas. However, this was just the beginning of his trials. Kattabomman sought to join the South Indian Confederacy of Palayakarars, led by Marudu Pandiyar. Unfortunately, his attempts were initially thwarted by Collector Lushington. Despite the roadblock, Kattabomman and the Marudu brothers made the bold decision to confront the British, leading to a clash with the company's forces in Tirunelveli. Despite the challenges, Kattabomman stood firm in his resolve, readying himself for the battles to come. The stage was ripe for an all-out conflict as the British force led by Major Bannerman set out to besiege Panchalamkurichi. In the spring of 1799, combined troops from Tiruchirappalli, Thanjavur, Madurai, and Travancore converged towards Tirunelveli. Their mission was to force Kattabomman into surrender by the 1st of September. However, Kattabomman, in his resolute spirit, evaded this demand. By September, Bannerman's force had encircled Panchalamkurichi's fort, planning a strategy based on insider information from a man named Ramalinganar. This intelligence led to a confrontation at Kalarpati, where Kattabomman's trusted advisor, Sivasubramanianar, was seized. From then on, was on the run, with the British placing a bounty on his capture. In a twist of treachery, Kattabomman was betrayed by the rulers of Etayapuram and Pudukkottai. Sivasubramanianar, previously captured, met his end on September 13th. In October, a mock trial was held by Major Bannerman, with the verdict being swift. The following day, Kattabomman was hanged from a tamarind tree in the ancient fort of Kayathar, his death watched by other Palayakarars. His execution marked the end of Panchalamkurichi's Palayakarars, but Kattabomman's story lived on. His legacy served as a beacon for future generations in their fight for freedom. His bravery echoed through centuries folk songs, testifying to his courage against empire's might. However, Kattabomman's tale did not cease there. His life might have concluded, but his legacy reverberated, kindling future generations in their fight for liberty. His name resonated through time in folk ballads, a tribute to a valiant man who dared to defy an empire's power.